crowd. I like how my beard doesn't count because I'm not sure I would count either. Yeah, count it either. Technically not a beard, it's something else. Uh,
Hello, stream. Oh, I was muted on the stream.
ah.
Of course. hello. Yeah, okay, cool. It's fine now. It's just hello everyone. We'll be on in just a second. Please make yourselves comfortable. Oh, Lenny Kravitz. Oh, sorry. There's a Twitch ad. It's got Lenny Kravitz on it.
I only ever think about his wardrobe malfunction because of the podcast I listen to now.
Oh, really? When was that?
I never listened. So it was like some years ago, but it's like the only thing I ever hear about Lenny Kravitz because it's always brought up as a joke. Well, not always. It's just the only thing I've heard about him.
Fair enough. Well, let's kick things off with the intro.
You are now listening to Doublejump Radio.
G'day everyone and welcome to episode 65 of Doublejump Radio. I'm your host Abir and I'm joined once again by my co-host John. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm pretty good, like usual.
That's good.
Been playing some more recent games, which is a nice change. Actually, yeah, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, otherwise all right. How about you?
Yeah, no, good. We've settled on a place that we
cool.
on a new place. So just kind of in the early stages of planning everything there, and making sure it's all going to be up to snuff, having the right amount of data points and all that stuff. Right, you want to make sure that the house you go into actually can handle internet, which is sad that we have to question in Australia, but.
Yeah, can this house do internet?
Can this house do internet? Yes. But no, it's good. It's very good. And I'm super happy to hear that you've been playing some more recent games because I think one of them is an Australian game, which will
yeah, which I think I heard about before it came out, and every time I've heard about it like 3 times, and I'm surprised each time. It's like, oh yeah. Anyway, been playing Cult of the Lamb,
yeah,
which I think is getting a lot of attention the last couple of weeks.
I
tried out Rumbleverse for a little bit. I'll play it a little more later, I think, but I need to get my Ethernet connection sorted because I haven't yet.
Yeah.
And also played. Oh, I'm gonna play Rollerdrome because I already bought it, but I haven't downloaded it. So I'll try that later.
Fair enough.
But, yeah.
No, that's good. We'll hear about it a little bit later then.
Mm.
Well, John, why don't we kick things off by talking about the news? The first, I guess, block of stories comes from THQ Nordic. Tell us what's been happening in the land of the... Are they Vikings? Nordic? Is that right? I think Vikings are from that area, maybe?
Yeah.
Unless it's horribly racist, what I've said.
Old white money, I guess. I don't know.
The whitest of the white.
Yep. Yes, so not the last of THQ will be here today. So first up was their Nordic showcase, which I think was 5 days ago at time of recording. So number of new games announced, number of old games already announced, so they're just showing off again, just kind of reestablishing themselves, I suppose. Just like, any other major publisher, as THQ's grown into prominence yet again.
Yeah.
But most prominent of all these new announcements is Alone in the Dark. A new reboot of the classic franchise, another survival horror, third person survival horror, like single player game. in the style of all the others. Do you know much about this franchise, Abir?
Yeah. Well, I think the first game came out in like 1992 or something, and it was like on PC. So I think it was like it just predated the Silent Hill, Resident Evil kind of 3D horror genre. I think its
Yeah.
main claim to fame that I think it was one of the first games to have like 3D with full textures, which
Okay.
is
You ever played
yeah.
any of them?
No, I haven't. I mean, I know that it's been like kind of rebooted before, like more than once, as far as I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah. What about
Mm.
you?
No, the only experience I have with it is seeing the cover on pre-owned shelves in EB Games and such, because I feel like I really know that cover now. Otherwise, I don't know anything about it. But I'm very intrigued by this new game. It's been in
Mm.
development for 4 years, apparently. It's being directed by Mikhail Hedberg. He was the writer for Amnesia and Soma, which is quite a pedigree, as I
Yeah,
understand.
100%.
Um, yeah. There are monster designs by Guy Davis. He worked on Evolve and Pacific Rim, which is kind of an odd background by comparison. It's being described as a love letter to the original series, so it's kind of set in Louisiana. It's kind of going for Southern Gothic, which I think has not been a particular. I'm not actually sure if it like. It sounds like it's kind of going back to the roots of the series from the way it's being described.
Mm.
So kind
Mm.
of eldritch horror again.
Yeah, that was the. I think that's like compared to like zombies and stuff. I think the original Alone in the Dark was very, very literary. Like very. I think it was set in like the early 20th century.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
very like the exact time period Lovecraft was, you know, the what he wrote about
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
like and where he was from.
Yeah.
So kind of the premise is it's following private investigator Edward Carnby as he dives into the Darketo Manor. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure.
Go with
Um,
it.
the manor is a home for the mentally fatigued. So players will be playing as Edward and is also be playing as Emily Hartwood, who's the niece of the manor's missing owner. Each character will experience the events game from a unique perspective, which kind of reminds me of the zapping system from Resident Evil 2,
Two
or maybe
remake.
just like
No,
no,
even from the original
one.
two. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm guessing it'll be close to the remake, where it's just going to be two individual paths with
Yeah.
their own unique aspects to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from the announcement, it's Alone in the Dark will tell a new original story that will reimagine elements of the 90s original 90s game, including the characters and places and themes. So it's still very much a classic survival horror experience where there's puzzles and combat and survival within this kind of gothic manor
Yeah.
location. So yeah, it'll be a bit of a throwback compared to, aside from Resident Evil, no one else really seems to do it. So there's definitely still a
Yeah.
place in the market for it, I think, nowadays.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that I'm pretty sure that Resident Evil 7 was set in like Louisiana, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it compares, I guess.
Mm. I'm actually always like up for period pieces in games
Mm.
because they can be rendered with such fidelity nowadays, and I think you don't see too many games really take advantage of that compared to,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that's based on like my very vague memories of nothing, but I do wish I
Bit
always think
harsh.
about, but I always think about like LA Noire. Like I love that game, and a
Yeah.
big part of it is its setting and it's the way it tells a story, and within that noir detective genre.
Yep.
And it's just like, man, I could really kill for more games like this because they are
Yeah.
like not just detective games, but just games that really embrace the time period.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't see too many nowadays, I think,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm wrong. After Alone in the Dark, there was the announcement of Tempest Rising. So it very much doesn't really try to hide that it's a Command and Conquer successor in everything but name.
I mean,
So,
in the video, they literally say conquering premiere.
yeah, and it's like current, like kind of thumbnail cover art is like just Command and Conquer again. Like it's like almost exactly the same. So
And published by
building
3D
RTS.
Realms, which is funny.
Oh
Like
yeah,
two classic names.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So real-time strategy game, all about base building, alternative history sort of scenario.
Mm.
So the base building part is kind of important to highlight. That is not a very common thing in modern RTS games anymore. So there's
No.
very much a place for that kind of that sort of game in the genre. Just because RTS games
Yeah.
are not all that common in the first place.
No,
But
no,
base
definitely
builders,
not.
aside from Age of Empires, I think
Yeah.
that might be one of the only modern base builder RTSs
Yeah.
in a while, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, you're right. Because, I mean, the RTS genre has really slowed down. Like, I
Mm,
haven't really seen anything come out in the last few years. I'm sure there's. I feel like maybe I say that, but I'm sure there's been like 3,000 like Warhammer kind of like maybe RTSs that have come out that have just gone under the radar, but are like super
maybe,
popular. Who
but it's
knows?
like I think like Dawn of War, yeah, the Warhammer one actually.
Well, that's
That one
yeah,
kind of ended up becoming more kind of hero focused,
yeah. That
and
became
so did
like a company of
um,
heroes style. I think that
yeah,
one
that
was.
that
Yeah,
one too. That one
following
also
units.
became
Yeah,
less about base building,
yeah, yeah.
as I understand it. Um, so it's yeah, so Tempest Rising is being developed by Slipgate Ironworks from Denmark,
Mm,
and for PC right now. Hasn't
yeah,
been announced for anything else. After that was Space for Sale was announced. Follows an astronaut on a mission to explore strange new worlds, seek out new life, and build real estate on an alien world,
yeah.
which sounds good to me.
That's
Um,
hilarious. That's just a hilarious. I mean, yeah, it's a hilarious premise, but I don't know. Is it a commentary on colonialism? I don't know.
Hopefully, I guess. I don't know. It's probably going to come off weird otherwise. Um, yeah, so exploration sandbox where player takes the role of a galactic property developer, being developed by Mirage Game Studios, known for Little Big Workshop, also
Mm,
just for PC right now. The A new racing game called Recreation was announced. This is from Three Fields Entertainment. They're the ones who made Dangerous Driving and Dangerous Golf,
yeah,
former
yeah.
developers
From
from
Criterion.
Criterion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think their current string of games has been somewhat passed by as they come out. Like I feel like they haven't
Mm.
made too much of an impact
Yeah, because
since.
like they basically the Criterion games, if that sounds familiar, is because Criterion Games was the original like sorry was this the second kind of the developer from I think Burnout Paradise onwards, because before that I think it was Black Bear. I think was um so Criterion
I thought
Games.
they'd made all the Burnout games.
No, I
Hang
thought
on.
the early one wasn't that Black Bear. Or am I confusing with Black Box? No, Black Box.
Yeah, because they made other Need for Speed games, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, I'm confusing with Bugbear because Bugbear makes I think Wreckfest. I think there's like a few different like kind of classic. Yeah, Black
Yeah,
Box.
so according to Wikipedia, they made all the Burnout games. Then they
Okay,
shifted into Need for Speed after with Hot Pursuit onwards, and then they were sort of
gotcha.
weirdly split up into Ghost games.
Ugh,
And now
looks
I think
terrible.
Criterion Games is another like
Who
reformed again.
knows?
I'm not sure what's going on.
I think they kind of work on like DLC for like Battlefield and Battlefront or something now.
Yeah, because I think like after Ghost Games was created, I think there was sort of an incubation
Yeah,
mode for a
yeah.
bit. Nothing really came of it as
There
they were
was
working on some extreme sports game, and
yeah,
then
that was like that
I think
one teaser from like 2015 or something, and then nothing since.
yeah, it's a real shame. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, I know Ubisoft's made like 6 games with the same premise, but I still like to see Criterion do it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, Recreation. I think it reminds me. Have you seen the trailers, Abir?
I've got them on screen now here, so they're very I'm like kind of like playing them, watching them as you're talking, and
Oh, okay,
there is definitely a very classic, and it's like it definitely capitalizes on the crash mode I think of the classic
right.
Burnout games.
Well, the Recreation. It also reminded me of um the Hot Wheels expansions of Forza.
Yeah,
It's just a lot of roads in the air.
things
Um,
that don't make sense.
yeah, so hopefully this is kind of the hit, I think. Dangerous Driving 1 or 2. I think like 2 is most notably like best known for not having a soundtrack.
Mm.
Or maybe that was the first one, actually. And so it's like it'd be nice for
Yeah.
them to land a hit. Yeah. Following that announcement, there was a new trailer for the remake of Gothic, currently in development by Al- Alchemia Interactive for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series consoles.
Mm.
New trailer for Jagged Alliance 3 from Haemimont Games. New trailer for Outcast 2, A New Beginning, made by Appeal Studios. So that has no release date. Coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox. There was a new gameplay trailer for SpongeBob The Cosmic Shake, which I think is the first time we've seen like proper gameplay. I think otherwise it's been just teasers so far, just without much of a sense of what the game is, aside
Yeah.
from knowing that it's going to be like Battlefield Bikini Bottom because
Yeah.
it's the same developer.
Of the re-release.
Yes,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so you look at the 3D platformer. I was kind of shocked at how the animation quality, like
Mm.
it's very visually stunning for the kind of
It
game it is, I
really,
think.
it really is.
Yeah. Having played Battlefield Bikini Bottom somewhat recently,
Mm.
I'm pretty excited for it, even though THQ is still, I don't know, bit of a tangent, but it makes me like, just like wrestling, gaming is doing the same thing to me where I'm getting increasingly okay with giving money to companies I don't like. Don't like that
Mm.
feeling. And Cosmic Shake is like it doesn't. It's not a game I feel like I need to play or must have or anything. I don't think any game's gonna have that impact on me ever again, honestly, just because I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
But I don't like that. It's starting to, the scales are starting to shift closer to equal or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't like.
It
Anyway, I guess my point is Cosmic Shake looks really nice.
yeah, no, it does look very nice, and the thing about it is that it's like I don't know how to put it. There's a level of polish to it. There's a level of care to it that really stands out, and it's like something that like I don't know. I think this is a pretty good compliment. It looks like it looks like a Nintendo level of kind of attention to detail when it comes to like animation and things, and I think that's really good to see.
Yeah, it's cool to see like other developers get sort of close to that. I guess because
Get
there
good.
aren't too many developers making stuff with the same market
Mm.
as Nintendo necessarily, like the same sort of demographic. So when someone is going for it, I guess it's not totally uncommon with like the Spyro remake and the Crash games and all
Yeah.
that, but it's happening. But it's always cool to
Like
see.
I'm just happy that SpongeBob is still relevant. I didn't realize. I guess it's like it never really went away. I feel like.
Mm. Yeah, it's like Simpsons where it's just kind of evergreen,
Yeah.
at least for a certain segment of
People.
like generation
Yeah.
that grew up with it.
Yeah.
Um, there was a new trailer. Yeah, so following SpongeBob, a new trailer for All Elite Wrestling's Fight Forever game. So the first video game for the sort of number 2 US like pro wrestling company.
I
It's
l-
being developed by the former game developer of the WWE games called Ukes. They're a very ancient developer that have been making wrestling games for a very long time.
it's just so weird. It's just THQ Ukes wrestling. It's like is this like 2005 or what's going on?
Yeah,
Well,
a
that's
lot of
yeah.
like a lot of time traveling with this presentation showcase. I think
Right, THQ publishing a
like
SpongeBob game. That's also a classic thing.
Command and Conquer is back.
Yeah,
um,
and it's
yeah,
like
so
the thing is like Ukes as a studio. Like I feel like everyone was like, oh, when 2K gets the WWE license, we might actually get an improvement in the quality of the games because Ukes won't be making it anymore. And then that didn't really happen.
well, to be fair, the latest one actually has like a decent uh reputation compared to the last bunch. I'm not sure why. Like that, it may be a
Okay.
change developer, but I think it's just like they had extra time and they kind of used it to improve things they didn't ever have time to improve before.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
I
That was my
think
impression
I
of it.
think I think it's also the classic thing of like it takes a couple of years after a new console comes out for the developers to kind of get a like. I feel like what happens is whenever there's a new console, um, the first couple of sports games of that generation, they remove features that were there in like the year before. So like because they're like kind of like starting again, and then they're re-adding features that were there before, but in the new generation. So maybe this is the same thing where it's like it took them a couple of years to actually catch up in terms of development and get familiar with the PS5 and Xbox Series.
Well, in this case, it was more like a big change in the most recent WWE game, as I understand it, because I haven't played any of them. I
Mm.
just remember following discussion of it. Is that they really improved game feel and really simplified controls in a really positive way, because these games are sort of like weird simulations of fake fighting. So it's a weird approach. Um, yeah.
I get
So
you.
get back on topic. Fight Forever is very much in the style of the games from I guess 2005 or earlier, kind of like simplified with more of a easy to pick up, like hard to master.
Mm.
That's been a lot of the discussion, like as I've been talking about the game at times. So the trailer itself is like kind of I don't know. It depends on whether you're an AEW fan already. I think, um, but yeah. So but otherwise, no new information with Fight Forever. I think that didn't come out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, like I don't get like is the gimmick of this fighting lady that she eats pizzas a lot? Is that her gimmick, or is it just the gimmick of like, oh, I'm a
He's
gamer, I eat pizzas and don't socialize?
no, she's like a obnoxious dentist turned wrestler. Also, she's still a dentist. Like
Got
Britt
you.
Baker is who Abir is talking about.
Oh, so yeah, because
Um,
I was like watching, I was like, they call her Doctor something, and then they put all these other things behind it. I'm like, I don't know if that's a gimmick or that she's like, there's
no,
pizzas
she's like
everywhere.
it is a gimmick, but she's literally a dentist,
It
and she's
became
also
a.
a wrestler. Yeah,
Are you
and she
serious?
kind of ended up once she turned heel, she really tapped into like a good version of this like, extremely condescending, obnoxious villain. She's a very successful new star of AEW for someone
Gotcha.
who hasn't been in WWE or anything.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So anyway, after AEW, there
Mm.
was a new trailer for Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign, developed by Black Sea Games. It will be coming to PC sometime soon. I don't think it has a release date as of today. A new trailer for Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed. So a remake of the second game
Yep.
after the remake of the first game a year or two ago. That will be launching later this month, which I did not know. I was surprised to read that. And, um, do you have much affection for that franchise? I feel like it has like a something of a footprint in Australia for some reason, but I don't know why.
Yeah, that's weird. Like I didn't play it. I skipped the entire PS2 Xbox generation at home,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't really get to play it at like cousins' houses or anything like that. So I don't really have um that affiliation or that affection for it.
Right.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I played the first or second one. Like
Yep.
I think I rented it out um, from like what's it called, Video Easy or something, whatever that store was
Yep.
called.
Yep. Wow.
A long time
That's
since
a
I
that's a
thought of that.
while. That's a while ago now.
Yeah. Um, otherwise, I don't. I'm actually kind of surprised they're remaking the second one, like if rather than just making another one like they did with the SpongeBob game. But I don't know. I'm sure we'll see like a brand new one soon. I was just
Mm.
kind of thinking with like, why don't they just remake the second one right away so they can just jump right into a new one or something? It just seems like an odd approach, but it doesn't hurt. People are going to buy it and enjoy it. So yeah. After Destroy All Humans, there was a new trailer for the Stuntfest World Tour. Um, the premise is that 18 players compete against each other in an elimination-based stunt show.
Mm.
There's various game modes. It kind of looks I don't know, like I guess like the main conceit of the gameplay is that it's like an arcade racer, except you can kind of instantly turn into a person in like wingsuit into wherever you want, and then transform back into a car. So it's kind of, and I guess seems very hectic as
Mm.
far as an arcade racer goes, with a big focus on multiplayer.
Yeah,
So
uh, mm, this is hilarious. It's just it sort of reminds me of Diddy Kong Racing in a way, where you
how
know
so?
what I mean?
Because I don't know that game.
Because of like the different modes of like you can fly. Like there's like different. It seems like there's different paths through each map, and like it suits like okay, if you're the plane style, you go through this way. You take the high road, or like you go through these loop de loops and stuff. And if you're a car, you go through like loop these different like kind of pathways as well. So it's kind of like a modern, it's like a modernized version of uh Diddy Kong Racing in that way. I don't know how else to. It's Diddy Kong Racing is one of those games where it's like it was around, but I didn't play it. But I know that it's a beloved game, and the appeal of it was the fact that there were like multiple ways to tackle a track. If I'm remembering
It makes me
correctly.
think that it's like if it's kind of similar to Flat Out. I think that's the
Okay,
arcade racer with a lot of chaos fueling every aspect of it.
now that one I think is a
Uh,
bugbear joint, flat
Yeah, I
out.
think yeah, because they made Wreckfest after that. I think.
Yeah.
But I was thinking if it's anything like that, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Because it is entering beta soon, so
Yeah, bugbear.
should
Yep.
should be able to get a taste of it
Yeah, that's
sometime.
not very long
Whenever
now.
you want. Hmm. Um, yeah, and lastly, a new trailer for The Valiant. This is a squad-based RTS set in 13th century Europe and the Middle East. Basically, a squad-based RTS where you control medieval knights is the idea.
This is like
Um,
Company of Heroes Crusades edition.
yeah, so
Uh,
we'll see how that goes. It's developed by Kite Games and it's coming to PC. Very PC heavy showcase. I've
yeah.
just noticed.
It,
Almost none of this is coming to anything else. Well,
yeah.
not none, but
I
a
think
fair
in
chunk of
my
it is
head
PC exclusive.
when I think of like European game development, I like when I think of games that aren't like PlayStation, PC, my head always goes to PC because I feel like whenever there are those like kind of underground, like those kind of surprise hits, they've come through PC. Maybe it's the Metro series was one of those. It was like, oh,
Oh,
it's made by some Eastern European country. Oh, it's only on PC. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
well, like Metro was like following up the momentum behind Stalker, I think,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is probably what you're describing. It's like
yeah,
PC only,
yeah,
like cult hit.
and like
Yeah, you're right there. It's like Europe has like a big PC demographic.
yeah, and
But
like those melee combat games that are like set in medieval times. I forget what the names are, but
like Chivalry and
yes, yeah, that's what I think of.
what the other one's called,
I'm pretty sure those ones came out of Europe as well,
right?
which I realize is a very generic thing to say. It's like a very nothing thing to say. So I do
It
apologize.
comes
For
out that
that.
third of the planet.
Yeah, oh,
But
it's that thing from that continent.
yeah,
Well, yeah, no,
yeah,
thanks, John. There's a lot there, but yeah, PC. I mean, as a PC gamer, it's good for me, but at least quite a few of these games are coming out on newer consoles. Nothing here really stands out as a AAA kind of like game, but I don't think THQ Nordic is in the business of the AAA, much like classic THQ, I guess.
yeah. Well, it's like I actually love. I mean, as much as I kind of despise Embracer for earlier actions that hold against them, it's like I wish there were more publishers like this, where I understand they have just a ton of money to throw at stuff, but they're kind of approaching it in a more sensible way. Like game development in general,
Mm.
using not impossible amounts of money. Like it's like not every project is this gigantic gamble,
Yeah.
which is like every other. Like, because that, like, when you say like AAA, it's like you're just talking about the scale of production,
Mm-hmm.
and that scale of production means the most money possible
Yeah.
for the most money in return possible.
Yeah.
Just based on what they expect and want and etc. And it usually doesn't, like, it works out fine because IPs have strong awareness and attach rates and all that, but it's not like, it's not a great idea, and it's only getting worse, you know. So it's kind of, hopefully this kind of approach kind of other larger publishers, because like say like Japanese publishers do the same thing. I think you just don't hear about it as much. So I guess it's just kind of, I don't know. I guess my point is that it's kind of cool to see like a showcase of games of this scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a little teaser at the end of something coming from South Park Digital Studios. So we'll see what that turns out to be, because I think there were was it Ubisoft who published those two kind of like RPG style South Park games? I wonder who.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was Ubisoft maybe, but yeah. So this will be interesting to see what comes out of THQ Nordic, but I guess if we stick within the Embracer group, because that's what THQ Nordic is part of, apparently. Let's move it over to the actual parent company, the full Embracer group, and the Embracer group has done, I guess, what it does, what it's known for, and that is just buying companies. Like every day, there's just some new acquisitions. So the new set of acquisition, and this came out of a few different sources, but this only broke a few hours ago. I've got the Gematsu article up on screen for folks at home to have a look through. But essentially, Embracer Group has founded a new collective, or what it likes to call a new, quote, operative group. It's essentially a collection of studios, as well as a brand new studio, to kind of focus on a few different key areas. So this new operative group is called Embracer Free Mode, and I guess the business goal for this is to look after 6 different, quote, market segments. The first one being dedicated to retro gaming, so retro gaming and retro entertainment. The second one being game development and production, I presume being new game production. The third area being devices, gear, and collectibles. Sounds like expect to see some more branded, I don't know, like mouse pads and headphones and like statuettes and stuff. The fourth area would be community and e-commerce. So expect, I don't know, like, does this mean there's going to be like, log in through the Embracer launcher and link your accounts and you get free stuff across the Embracer group, like games, sort of like what Fortnite did with Epic Games and its other acquisitions. And then there's a fifth area which is going to be focused on new idea and technology incubation. So the way I interpret it is like maybe not a new game engine, but maybe third-party tools that could be used in future games, or it could just be like, talking about augmented reality, virtual reality, things like that. That's, I think, is just a way to kind of fund and develop projects that aren't games, I think, or gaming related. And then the last part is production services. That's the sixth area they want to focus on. The fact that this is separated from the retro game development and the new game development area, for me, implies that production services is about broadcast production or media production. TV shows maybe based on classic game like franchises they own, or even movies. Licensing out, like a TV show to Netflix or something based on, I don't even know what they own now. Like, technically Borderlands, right? Things like that. Because I think Borderlands is part of Embracer Group, isn't it?
Yeah, I could also see production
Gearbox
services
is there, yeah.
meaning like just producer roles for companies underneath it, stuff like that.
I can see that.
Because it's like,
or behind the scenes content.
Yeah, so I think it's like altogether these like 6 things are just meant to be elements of another subsidiary, like another major one, like alongside Saber and Gearbox, because there's like 8 of them now, and it's just I feel like they're all just yeah, I feel like these are all just broad definitions in official speak
Yeah,
for another one. So it just, I guess this one is just going to be very, yeah, like retro sort of, what's the word? Just for like old releases,
yeah, because
sort
like
of thing, that kind of thing.
because I think they've got like Saber Interactive has a lot of, that has like the shooter kind of
Mm.
a lot of the shooter brands, and then Gearbox has got its own IPs and stuff like that. So this is just like a not easy way, but like a kind of simpler way to kind of tackle games that are outside of those like kind of those other franchises. Didn't Embracer Group acquire Square like Crystal Dynamics and not Crystal Dynamics,
Mm.
yeah, like the Tomb Raider IP and stuff like that. Eidos Montreal, Square Enix, well, what was Square Enix Montreal? So
Yep.
that's another group there. So this is
Yeah,
like,
it's like
yeah,
it's like free mode is meant to represent like another niche
yeah,
Embracer wants to focus on in its own little corner. Just like,
mm,
yeah, like you were saying, like, Saber is shooter, so we'll put, all that stuff in that little
yeah,
basket over there. That kind of thing.
yeah. That's that. It makes sense now because I guess it's like, okay, anything that doesn't fit into those other things, we want to come up. We want to look after some of the classic IPs we own that aren't owned by those other brands. We want to do some new game development that isn't related to those other brands, and then create some other things that like don't you don't want to share those kind of risks or whatever. Great that you make a new thing that'll handle all of it. So as part of this, Embracer Group made a number of acquisitions. I'm going to quickly go through these because the next story is going to be a doozy. So I'll go through these acquisitions. So the first one was Bitwave Games. Essentially, with the acquisition, the plan is to expand the development team and also to create a new publishing team within the business. So folks who Bitwave Games is known for shoot 'em up games such as the Tower Plan series, and they want to bring that to the PC as well as classic publishing the classic kind of Nintendo / Famicom era platformer game called Gimmick, and bringing that, I guess, westward on modern systems. The next acquisition is Geotech. I'd say Geotech. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
which people in Europe might know is like a very popular gaming accessory brand. So this is probably leading that accessories and collectibles arm of the free mode group that we mentioned before. The other one, which I think is a larger purchase, I guess. Well, it's an important purchase, is that they've acquired limited run games, and so the free mode brand is going to run limited run games, and they've acquired it from the founders Josh Fairhurst and Douglas Bogart. So this limited run is focused on collectibles or collector's items that are usually licensed. So, and they tend to sell, well, according to the press release, direct to consumer, which kind of like, I don't know if it's sort of like a ESC toy or something like that.
Well, they tend to sell like physical versions of digital only games.
Yeah,
That's what you see a lot from them. But you're right, collectibles is a
yeah.
good
It's
description
like
of what they do.
they're not going to sell it in like your Walmart or your GameStop or something like this. Is more like we're going to make a certain limited run, so to speak, of like a physical version of these digital games, and you might get some goodies and things like that there as well. The other thing is also this limited run also owns the rights to the Carbon engine, which is used to port a lot of older classic games to modern systems. So this kind of taps into that retro gaming, I guess, pillar of one of those one of the 6 business units they've got free mode looking after. So I think that'll be a great. It could be like a way to say, okay, sort of like what Sega's done with, I think the new Sonic engine, like the Sonic Origins collection that came out a few months ago. Those aren't actual like kind of ports of the classic Sonic games. They're actually recreations of the 2D Sonic games in a brand new engine. So that's why
Okay.
that's why the few things have been changed in them. So that's why
Well,
people,
it's like
yeah,
I feel like M2 might be a good example as well. Probably the better one because I think Sonic Origins people didn't like so
yes,
much.
yes,
But
yeah,
yeah, like M2 was like
which
another,
was like the Metroid.
Sega.
Was M2 the Metroid one, or was that different?
I think it was different. Like M2 is the one who did a lot of retro games in the last decade or so. Well, no, they've been around for a long time. I think they were originally an arcade developer. I don't know,
You mean
but they've been like
AM2? Sega's
no,
AM2, or is
that's the
M2 the?
Metroid one.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure.
No,
Hang on.
AM2 was Sega's internal arcade development thing.
Okay. Hang
Oh,
on. Now
and
I'm
then there
confused.
was also AM2R. I think you're talking about another Metroid 2 remake. That's the one that got shut down. I think.
M2 Co. Limited is a Japanese video game developer best known for handling emulation of re-released games such as some Sega Ages titles and virtual
Sega
console
Ages, yeah.
titles.
So M2 would have made those ones. Yep. So
Yeah.
this sounds like a Embrace's equivalent of having an in-house engine or in-house, I guess, like a retro-focused kind of technology house. So it means that as Embracer gets a lot of these, acquires a lot of these companies and the existing IP rights, it means that there's the opportunity to re-release and port older games to new systems, especially games. I think Embracer Group actually openly said that it wants to preserve and highlight games from Europe, which
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, I remembered something for once. Not going, oh, what was that again? And then the other one, I guess, another one which is another major acquisition is that the Embracer Group has acquired Middle Earth Enterprises, which was a division of the Sol Zanes company. Now, if you're wondering why Middle Earth is in there, and you're like, that sounds like a Lord of the Rings thing, it's because it is. So Middle Earth Enterprises is I guess, the official IP holder and rights holder to video games, board games, merchandise, theme parks, stage productions, and films of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Hobbit, and other, I guess, Tolkien, or not Tolkien, but I guess Middle Earth related literature that is, officially endorsed by the Tolkien estate, and HarperCollins, which is the original publisher of the Lord of the Rings books. Now, this technically also includes the TV shows, but apparently it doesn't cover TV shows that go for more than 8 episodes, and that is why the Amazon Prime show, The Rings of Power, isn't affected by this.
I wonder how the second season works then.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that now.
Hey, if they make more than 8 episodes, they won't have to worry about it probably.
Yeah. You just live off this one forever.
Yeah. So basically, if it's not a Tolkien novel, Embracer owns it, essentially. Or if it's not a TV show, that's a longer scale TV show. So this is so weird. Like, this is just like,
Yeah.
especially like hearing that Weta Workshop is working on a new Lord of the Rings kind of game, but maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. The next acquisition is Singtrix. So Singtrix is known for its audio, like kind of rhythm game, audio game products. So it's got a vocal, according to the article, it's got a vocal technology platform, and essentially, it's a way for Embracer Group to tap into the, I guess, like popular but underrepresented music game genre, because like I always saw ads for a game called Beatstar on mobile, and then I got addicted to it. It's basically like think of like Guitar Hero, but like it's like Tap Tap. Remember Tap Tap back in the day? Tap Tap Revolution. So that was like a iOS, like iPod Touch, rhythm game.
Dance Revolution. Oh,
Huh?
whatever's called.
No, not
What's
Dance Dance
the other?
Revolution. There was Tap Tap, like Tap Tap
I was
Revenge and
saying, it's like,
stuff.
was it like a phone version of it?
Pretty
Or
much, yeah. So it was like, so it's that same idea where you got like kind of 3 notes coming down in a note highway, but you got like swipes and slides and holds and stuff. So it's a really fun game that really kind of taps into that same part of the brain, that the rhythm games did. this is gonna allow Embracer to take on music games, like music streaming, and also tackle mobiles because Singtrix apparently has that good grasp of the mobile like game development. The other thing that this does is that because Singtrix is based in Los Angeles, it means that Embracer now has, I guess, a foothold in the US. So now it'll kind of like, I don't know, infiltrate the US via Singtrix and like get into the LA, the West Coast creator scene, and then
Okay.
like I mean LA and San Francisco, they're pretty big game development hubs. So like if it gets in there, like it's only a matter of time before it spreads to like New York's another one, Washington, like kind of that middle America, and then also like in Texas there's some like they've already got Gearbox is based in Texas, I think. Yeah, Texas. So they've got like kind of the southern part of America, the southwestern. Now they've got the West Coast. So they're going to conquer the US pretty soon. It's a Viking invasion of North America, which hasn't happened since the early last millennium.
It says it's only 5 developers all up in
Yeah.
Singtrix, but it does make me think about it's like I wonder if they're going to go for like Just Dance, sort of like that sort of market. I mean, that's a long stretch for this kind of
Yeah.
small team, but it's like I don't know. I get like maybe that's the idea.
I would go for it. Like there is an Xbox One back in this house because I borrowed it off my family friends because I want to play Dance Central. And the only way you can play it is on the Dance Central Spotlight was the game that made me get an Xbox One.
Oh,
I had it pre-ordered down for the Xbox One and then it cancelled it. But then I waited and then when Dance Central Spotlight got announced, so when it came out, I was like, yeah, I'm getting an Xbox. So
this is the camera app I need.
Well, pretty much. Like that's why
Yeah.
like maybe I'll get a PS5 once the PS5 camera's out. Because I don't know if there's a new version of the camera, and I'm like, I'm not gonna. And then I'm like,
I'm not buying a PS5 until EyeToy's back.
I want EyeToy back. I want Buzz back. I want SingStar back. I want like when okay, tangent here, but like back in the day when it was Dance Central and then there was Just Dance. Just Dance was kind of like the lame one. I think it was the more popular one because it was just.
I think that's still true.
Yeah, because like Just Dance actually tracked your movements and wanted to make sure that you were trying to at least accurately do the moves. Whereas I think Just Dance, I remember videos of people just sitting on the couch with the Wiimote and then just flailing the Wiimote around and that would just count. Because there was no camera or anything. It was just literally just tracking the movement of the Wiimote nunchucks and stuff. So I don't know, like with cameras, if like with the Kinect or with the PlayStation camera, if they actually became more accurate in terms of how they track your performance. So that's why, in my mind, like I'm like, yep, I want to play Dance Central. I can't play it on a new system because the Kinect's not. I mean, if you can even get a Kinect, it's not compatible. Even with the new series, even with the Xbox One X, because it didn't have the Kinect adapter anymore, the plug. You had to get a USB adapter that was only available through Microsoft via redemption for like the first, I don't know, 6 months or whatever of the Xbox One X being out. So anyway, that's my my aside there, my esoteric aside there. The next acquisition is of Tatsujin, which is based in Japan. It's led by Masahiro Yuge, who's one of the founders of of a game studio called Tower Plan, and that studio is known for games like Truxton, Snow Bros, and Flying Shark. So separate to this deal, Embracer has actually has acquired the rights to Tower Plan's catalog, and what this means is that several of the employees that originally worked on those classic games will now be looking after these games going forward. So, which is always a good thing. But well, okay, it's mostly a good thing. You never know, like what those people are really like.
Yes,
yeah, but it means that this would be Embracer's first step into the Japanese development scene. So, in 2 years, Square Enix will be part of Embracer Group.
It's like hearing it's like the kind of news we keep hearing about Tencent. Where it's like, oh, now they're over here, sort of thing. Which is like not inherently bad. It's just like it's amazing watching these these corporations kind of like spread in real time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%, 100%. And this the next one is an acquisition via Saber Interactive. So we were talking about kind of like Saber Interactive being like the hub of European shooter and action studios for I was going to say Tencent, but no, for Embracer Group. And so Embracer Group's Saber Interactive has purchased Tuxedo Labs. Tuxedo Labs is from Sweden, and it's known for its voxel-based game called Teardown, which is a game that like is like physics-based, like just basically like demolition, like create elaborate kind of Rube Goldman like machines, or like like mousetrap like dominoes kind of like setups, and then just destroy them, and then just watch your frame rate tank because your computer can't handle it.
Yeah.
So this is a really cool acquisition, but I wonder if this means that like maybe that kind of that type of game engine, that type of destruction technology might be shared with other Embracer Group projects. So it could be an interesting one as well. And then the last one is a pretty major one as well. This is also via Saber Interactive. So Embracer Group has purchased 100% of the shares of US developer and publisher Tripwire Interactive. So Tripwire is probably best known for the Killing Floor and Rising Storm series, as well as Maneater, which I think was that shark game.
Yeah,
like
Shark PG.
Shark, yeah,
That one.
yeah. It was like a asymmetrical It's like your divers versus sharks, right? Is that if I'm?
Oh no, it's
Is that,
like a single player like RPG, except you're a shark.
oh,
It's pretty
okay.
straightforward,
What am I
actually.
thinking of then? Maybe I'm thinking of a different like game. There was like a
Hmm.
multiplayer game where you played as like divers on one side and sharks on the other.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
remember what you're talking about, but it's been a long
It's
time.
been a while, yeah. Okay, then yeah. So Tripwire was responsible for Maneater, so I think they published that game, and so as part of this deal, Tripwire's publishing division, which is called Tripwire Presents, has also come along and joined the Saber Interactive Embracer Group family. But yeah, that's going to do it for the, I guess, for the goings on how should I put it, I was going to say the other side of the pond, but we're in Australia, so that doesn't quite work. I'll just say for like
The rest of the world.
the rest of the world, yeah, for like Europe's arguably biggest publisher now, which is crazy to think about. Oh, besides Ubisoft, I think Ubisoft still is technically
Is it?
larger. Is it? I think
Okay.
it is.
Well, I guess they do have like dozens of developers around the world and stuff. That probably is true.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, John, why don't we take it over to some more kind of disappointing news and talk about some of the allegations happening at Nintendo of America, allegedly.
Yes. This will probably be our last story because we've been running a bit long. Well, not long, just there's
been a lot
last
to
story
cover.
of the news report. Yeah, exactly. It's a long one. This comes from a report from Sissy Jiang at Kotaku. It's a report on sexual harassment faced by contract workers at Nintendo, specifically their testing departments in Washington in the US. So this is like a large group of people within Nintendo. So according to Kotaku's report, roughly 25% of the roles that advertised at the North American headquarters in Washington were on a contract basis. So roughly a quarter of all workers in Nintendo in the US are contractors. This is who it affects. So these contractors usually work for outside companies and not Nintendo specifically. So this article specifically talks about Aerotech. They're now known as Aston Carter because they've been sort of like reformed. I'm not sure exactly what went on there, but they're basically the same company, and they specifically deal with contract workers. And these contract workers are specifically testers. I don't think that's what these workers are meant to do. So it's also worth mentioning that full-time Nintendo employees who aren't contractors are usually referred to as red badges. This is because they have like a bright red stripe on their employee ID card. That's kind of so
silly.
Just to set up a very clear dichotomy right from the start. because this is what it's
It's
about.
very us and them.
Yeah. So first off, women are both very underrepresented among contractors, but also not hired into full-time roles um, almost ever either. So this is sort of, I don't think this is very uncommon to hear. I think we've reported about this kind of thing very often, but it's basically, yeah. So basically, to start, there is not a huge proportion of women at Nintendo's US site to begin with.
Mm.
So five sources estimated that um, the number of women as in contractor roles probably hovers around 10%. Um, because of the nature of having to go from contract to full time role. This means it's probably less overall in full time positions. So there's a line in the article that says in some projects with several dozen team members, women on the team would number in the single digits. So from here, there are also significant wage gaps reported, at least among contractors specifically. So after working at Nintendo for 9 years, a source named Hannah, she found out a junior male contractor in her own department was making $19 an hour while she was making 16. She kind of fought for a pay rise and only got up to 18 as a compromise.
And you had to fight for that. She had to fight
Yeah,
for that.
exactly.
Um, sorry.
Yeah, so and then there was basically and people who left there are at least a couple of people who left who immediately got significantly higher wages as well.
Yeah.
So it's very much a Nintendo issue in this case, or at least in Aerotech. I don't know.
Yeah.
Same thing, obviously. Hannah was also someone who reported a mention of sexual harassment and also of this kind of unprofessional discussion in group chat environments in for the contractors. When she reported the incident, she was warned by Aerotech to be less outspoken. This is partly because the person she reported, she reported an incident about a translator who was making sexual comments in group chat, but this person was a full-time Nintendo employee, and because they weren't an Aerotech employee, they couldn't do anything aside from Nintendo
That must be so
giving them
frustrating.
yeah, so that dichotomy is causes a real issue just in that very straightforward sense where it's like if Nintendo doesn't care, Aerotech can't really do much to people who really step out of line.
Yeah.
Aerotech has been involved in multiple labor lawsuits over the years. So just last year, Aerotech was forced to pay $3 million to settle an anti-discrimination lawsuit in regards to quote age, sex, and race. So and the federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which we've reported on before, they've been investigating Aerotech basically nonstop since 2008 for racial and gender discrimination. So they've kind of got a history of their own, which unsurprising. According to Kotaku sources, the office at Redmond, Washington, they described it as a place that has a problem with treating women with respect. Kotaku spoke to 10 sources for this article, and they pointed to different points in time over the last decade. So telling a story of a corporate culture where sexist behavior was commonplace and very little action was taken to address it, which again is not, very familiar talk. It's just, this time at Nintendo, which I think is kind of, I guess it's I think it's not to stop this, what I'm saying short. I'll get to the rest of it. But I feel like that's kind of the main point with this particular story is that beside how awful a lot of these individual things are, is that Nintendo is not just because they're sort of a darling of the industry and have such a legendary position within it doesn't mean they're just as susceptible, or not susceptible, just as what's the word? They do this stuff as well, basically. They're just exactly as they're not innately better as a corporation and company to work for than these other companies we're reporting on.
That's true. That's important
Like
to
when we talk
remember.
about Activision Blizzard for 6 months straight about how awful they are, that's not like it's kind of unsurprising because they were sort of a villain of the industry
Yeah,
as
yeah.
someone, and like it was that villainness was like unrelated to the kind of things we were discussing about the like, but it's that was like almost easier to accept. Nintendo is like they all almost have like the opposite reputation in a way, not entirely, but close to it, at least for some people. And it's they're being acute, like they forgetting my words, but they have the same problems more or less. Like they have like any company can. It's
Yeah.
basically the point I'm trying to make. Okay, back on track. So aside from the harassment that a lot of women suffered from at Aerotech/Nintendo, they also faced issues with trying to advance in the company. So former testers told Kotaku that there was kind of a revolving door of female talent, and management was just didn't care to try and keep them. Contractors weren't given explicit goals or benchmarks to hit that mean they could actually convert to full-time employment or even like contract renewal, which is another part of it. It's like it was very based on favoritism and cronyism, and a lot of it was just based on being friends with the guy who made that decision. And it was always a guy as well. It from sounds of it.
Funny how that happens.
Yes.
Just saying.
No, you're right. The report also highlights two longtime employees who are particularly getting the words, but they're particularly like bad at this particular thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was going to say troublesome.
Yeah, that's good as well. So these employees being Melvin Forrest and Eric Bush. Forrest has been working in the product testing department since the early 90s, so he's been there for almost 3 decades now, around that. He's eventually became the head of the product testing department. So he's the one who makes the schedules for Aerotech contractors. He's the one who decides who returns after a project ends. So being an Aerotech contractor in his department means being friends with him, regardless of whether you want to be or not.
Yeah.
And as a manager, he was, very problematic. And like a lot of harassment came directly from him, as sources tell Kotaku. So allegedly, to cover us, I suppose. So Forrest made inappropriate advances towards female testers. He would say stuff like, what was it? Yeah, he'd comment on female associates' weight and appearance. And these contractors felt like they had no choice but to stay on good terms with Forrest. And there was a specific quote from one of the from sources, Allison. If you're friendly with him, you're more likely to be brought back sooner or less likely to be laid off, which is a particularly bleak line, I think, when you're talking about a job. And it's
especially
sad.
Contract.
Yeah, exactly. There was also mention in the article of a Seattle gala where Nintendo was a sponsor. He said that at the party, his supervisor, Eric Bush, he leaned in and told him to ask a female contractor what color her panties were. He's also very prolific in games such as Golden Sun, a bunch of Pokemon games, Breath of the Wild. Sexual harassment among managers is basically like a central theme here. So there was a quote from a former tester that's saying product testing really felt like a frat house sometimes. So she said she tried to avoid interacting with a man who held so much power, but she had to deal with her male coworkers as well, who were, seemingly about as bad, making like, disgusting jokes and just generally treating women like the women contractors poorly and so one of the sources also said that after she put on a shield against sexual comments at work, her supervisor commended her for being tougher than the girl who had cried at the office. So there's very there's also a line which I kind of says when she complained, men would tell her that she had to be tough enough to work in product testing. And when it's like when I imagine the kind of people saying that, it's just like
Fuck.
who. I mean, I understand. Like the problem with this is like culture as well as the individuals. You know, they're reinforcing themselves, and the man people at top are only either reinforcing it or not doing enough to dissuade it. And it's just like, but whenever I think of it, it's like, man, how could you say that kind of stuff and be like, yeah, I'm a cool person I respect. It's just like it's always like so upsetting. Like, it's upsetting in an obvious way, but it's also just hearing the specifics like that, and it's like, man, who even talks like that? It's like, I don't know. I guess I don't have much of a point. It's just upsetting.
Yeah, you never want to hear this. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Okay. I think I've taken too many stops. Um, Next up was that queer women experienced an extra layer of unwelcome behavior and unequal treatment. So one of the sources, Hannah, she was an out lesbian, and she talked about her sexuality, like she was open about it, not talked about it. Coming up several times during her like decade at Nintendo, she was like often just disrespected or just ignored for just for that basic fact. So she said there was one line that says after she explained why she could not return her male colleagues' advances or like their come-ons, they would ask, quote, "But are you sure? But you're flirting with me. You're just playing hard to get." The comments made her so uncomfortable that she put her male colleagues at a distance, which she believed negatively impacted her career. And another queer tester also said she felt she was unfairly targeted by her aerotech. So, like, specifically, she was in a relationship with another tester. She was holding hands with that tester, like, inside of in department.
Management.
And then
Yeah.
she was targeted for like her, PDA, the PDA policy that was like never at all enforced for any straight couples. So it's yes. And yeah, so on the topic of dating as well, a lot of the full-time employees used red badges. They kind of use the contractor pool as contractor, yeah, pool as of associates as a quote dating pool. So there's a line that says from the source to Allison, if you're approached by a red badge and they appear to be making moves on you, other women said that you didn't want to dissuade them too hard. And the upsides of this was being, you know, basically playing into the favoritism and cronyism of the culture that's already there. And there was a line that said that basically if you're a woman in as a contractor in Nintendo, people just assumed you were friends or better or whatever with someone like a red badge or something like that. It's like the only way
to get in.
rise up. Yeah. Especially as a woman, There was one incident I mentioned in the article that says one former contractor claimed a more senior tester actually stalked her between 2011 and 2012, made calls and text messages to her phone that one witness felt were disturbing, and 3 other sources actually confirmed this was the case. But because the man was friends with the right people, she didn't feel she could flag the stalk to a contracting company. Yeah, so these sources corroborated about how the stalker had, quote, free reign to torment his victim. He said verbatim that he would get me fired if I reported it. Yeah, so the report ends with the basic, like, if it wasn't clear enough, with a former tester saying that, quote, you're just a disposable commodity. And you're reminded that if you're not willing to do something, someone else would love to have your spot. And that Aerotech and Nintendo seem to really play on people's love for the Nintendo brand, which is not, not surprising, like it's upsetting, but it's like, of course, that's how it goes. Like that's how a lot of game development goes,
Yeah, and even within games journalism, like that was the thing for the longest time, why there were so many unpaid internships, or why people would be overworked and underpaid from like a writing or like a creation point of view, is because they're like, well, this is a dream job. This is like, there's going to be another 20-year-old hungry to get into the industry, so suck it up or leave.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, so guess just to reiterate the point I was trying to make earlier. Basically, Nintendo's not is just as likely to have these sort of problems as any other company in games or just software or anything. And it's just that point needs to be reiterated. People shouldn't like certain companies shouldn't be assumed to be better, I guess. So yeah, as upsetting as that entire report is, it's a reminder that people need to have, I guess. Yeah.
No, I agree. It's yeah, I don't know. I'm just. Have we had like a big kind of story like this in the local industry in Australia? I can't think of one. Can't
I
think of
think that
anything
was
at the
one
moment.
that came up during the
The
there was like a
Annapurna stuff.
few like indie
Yeah.
ones. I think one of them was Australian, but I forget now.
Mm.
And then we also had Team Bondi from a decade ago.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that
We
one.
talked about LA Noir. That was a
Whew,
bad one.
that one was a really yeah. That one was a really really bad one. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, can't really think of anything off the top of my head. So, I mean, I'm not inviting people to like I'm not trying to manifest it into the world out there. So, I really hope that people yeah, I don't know what to say. I just don't want it to happen. Just
Yeah.
I really don't
Yeah.
want to read about it. Like I think you and I both are sick of seeing stories like this coming up, and it's just it's just frustrating. Oh, sorry,
I feel like it's
just
actually been a little
navigating the dog.
while at this point. No, like no, that makes
Well,
sense.
yeah,
It just has felt like a little while since we've
yeah. It's been more
reported
updates
on.
rather than fresh
Yeah.
allegations, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, I think that's gonna do it for the news for this week. I think there's plenty of stuff there. I think let's talk about some of the games you've been playing. Take a little drink break, and talk about go on to the chit chat section of the show. So, John, you've been playing a couple of newer games like Rumbleverse and Cult of the Lamb. What do you want to talk about first?
Go Rumbleverse because I think I don't have too much to say on it. Although I will say it's like Rumbleverse is like I heard about it from Jeff Gersman that he seemed quite excited about it and he reminded me that it existed and that it
Yeah,
was also from Iron Galaxy who are pretty well regarded as a game developer and I don't mind it. Like it's like also yeah, that's the other point. It's like literally the first battle royale I've played because I've avoided this entire genre. And then immediately after, I also played Fortnite for the first time ever, which is funnily enough unrelated to the Dragon Ball Z crossover that's currently happening. I did
yeah,
not know it. I forgot that was happening, and then the next day it happened. It was like right after I tried it. But it's anyway, get back to the point. Rumbleverse feels very unfinished right now, even though it's technically launched. It feels kind of rough around the edges in a lot of places, but as a combat, like I like what they've tried to find, which is basically it's a battle royale with 40 people, at least for now. I think it's 40, and it's like a melee based battle royale where you're using pro wrestling moves to beat everyone else up in the most like efficient and effective way
yeah. Rather
possible.
than like
So
shooter weapons like guns and stuff.
yeah. So as far as I can tell, there's a bit of a like rock paper scissors dynamic to what you have. So you have throws, you have strikes, and you have something else. I don't remember.
Those
But
strikes, like kind of grapple. I mean, yeah, I
I really don't
guess.
remember now. It's been a second, but it's like, but there's basically like a dynamic of attacks that will cancel out or just otherwise have effectiveness over
Mm,
other moves, and that's kind
mm,
of how you know win over other players. With I need to figure out my Ethernet cabling first, and then I'll try it again, see if I have a slightly better time because it's
yeah,
very much based on timing and strategy,
100%.
like in the
Yeah,
moment. Because you need to be able to like time your strikes well and your grapples well, so you can actually get them. Otherwise, it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize it was published by Epic Games as well.
Yeah, I needed to make an Epic. I need to connect my Epic account first, which is
Yeah,
like, okay, this is not what
because
I expected.
like, I mean, I guess that gives a bit more like backing. Like, I feel like Epic Games has the money to kind of back this, even if it doesn't have the biggest player base at the beginning. But I feel like it's had. I feel like it disappeared for months, and then and then it's out now. I feel like there wasn't like ongoing talks, like ongoing hype about it in the months like in between. I feel like I heard more about multiverses and that Nickelodeon kind of like platform fighter, is that what they're called? Rather than like something like this.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe like multiverses kind of just took the oxygen a bit, but
Mm.
like just like, oh, even though I don't think they're too similar, but maybe they're similar enough,
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I'm not sure. Like, because you're right, because it's like it's also on Epic Game Store as an
Mm.
exclusive, which means
Mm.
almost no one's gonna play it there. But it does have crossplay, so
Yeah.
that helps. But it's which is why I had to log in with the Epic account. But it's yeah, I don't know. Like, I want to try it again. I didn't love it. It feels like a game that would be a lot stronger in a few months with a bit more
Gotcha.
polish.
Well,
And
what is it lacking?
I don't actually know because like that's part of the reason I was mentioned Fortnite,
Yeah.
and I like played that, and that's so much more polished and obviously finished more or less. It's
Yeah.
just constantly evolving and changing, and it's like as soon as I played a couple rounds of that again for the first time ever, never touched these games. I just like was in the mood for it lately, and I immediately realized that the progression systems of these games don't work on me. I really need good core gameplay, and the circularness of multiplayer titles don't are rarely enough for me, I think.
Hmm.
So so in that sense, I'm not actually sure exactly what Rumbleverse is lacking, other than I don't know. Like I guess like because right now the storefront and the overall selection of gear is like doesn't draw me in. I think the
Yeah.
combat is fun, but I think maybe the net code just needs a bit more smoothing out
Yeah.
to really kind of have like a better average experience. But maybe
Gotcha.
mine's just really below average in a way I'm not quite sure of. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's artistically I'm not super into it. I don't love the visuals personally. I thought I
Mm.
would like it more, but I
Mm.
find it I don't I think it could look nicer than it does. But
Yeah.
that's maybe I'm not sure. Like I can't tell exactly what I need right now to get drawn into a game like this because Fortnite doesn't have it either. And I'm kind of curious if there is a battle royale that does, because like you play Apex Legends, like what draws you into that game?
I think I think with a game like Apex Legends is that it's just the core gameplay is so good and that you still have fun shooting. Like you still have fun playing the game. And I think if you don't have fun playing the core mechanics, like I don't think anything can really make up for that. Um
Yeah,
and I think that's why I bounce off other shooters. Like like the game has to be fun to play. That's the main thing. And then the stuff around it is what keeps you going. And you're right, like with a battle royale, I guess the appeal that people like is the fact that okay, the everyone starts on an equal playing field, so to speak. Like it's not like you get access to guns and I can't because of like a paywall or anything like that. It's like okay, no matter how good you are, you start every round again from nothing, and you got to scramble to get to what you need to do, which is good in terms of like a pick up and play type of game, or like it's good from like a I guess like a fairness point of view. But then there's no ongoing challenge in that way. Like the challenge is just you leveling up every battle pass. You know what I mean? So maybe
yeah,
that's
that's kind of
what is like maybe that's the thing that you're not wired that way to be hooked on with that as your motivating thing. Maybe.
yeah, like because that's kind of why I mentioned it. It's like I didn't like it wasn't I wasn't trying to like say like oh luck is me whatever. Like I'm not trying to like state anything like that. I
Mm.
was just kind of surprised it didn't have much effect on me. I think just because of like hearing about it for years and never engaging with it beyond thinking it sounded not great. Even though I thought like battle passes sound like I guess in relative to loot boxes, they sounded better, and they still
Yeah.
seem to be okay. I just realized like I was like looking through Fortnite's the one before the Dragon Ball one, maybe. I'm not sure how it works, but like one of the
Yeah.
most recent ones, and I was like looking through the skins, like, oh, a couple of those are neat, but it's
Yeah.
just like as I was going through, it's like, man, I don't like one. I already realized I didn't want to play Fortnite that much, and two, a lot of this stuff to wear is just not enticing to me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was like, man, that's like none of this stuff is like I like a few of them, but it just doesn't. One, none of them are worth $20 or whatever, like
Yeah.
individually, and two, I'm not sure. Like it's
Yeah.
just a very new experience for me that I want to try and get to grips with. Like, which isn't like it isn't very like novel. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of thinking of like, oh, why doesn't this entire market work on me right now? At least
Yeah.
from what I've got so
I
far.
feel like
But
yeah, I don't know. Either you're really into it or you're. I don't think there's an in between with Fortnite. I think you're either really into it and you're spending the money, or you're just kind of observing it from a distance. I mean, like
yeah,
I think the appeal of a game like Fortnite. Like I saw a tweet today of like essentially it was a player in a Master Chief costume, like outfit, doing a Kamehameha against another player in a Darth Vader costume. Like, you know what I mean? It's just that it's the absurdity of, and mind you, both of them are in like this cartoonish universe. So it's like, I think the appeal. I think the appeal there is like, A, you have to like third person shooters. B, you have to like kind of be into playing multiplayer. Um, and C, you have to be willing to kind of like have a little bit of liberty, be like, okay, I know that these designs or whatever, they're not 100% like what I think of when I think of these properties, but I appreciate the fact that this thing is happening. And if you don't have all three, I feel like even 2 out of 3 may not be enough. Like
yeah. I
maybe,
will say
maybe.
as well.
Yeah.
No, I totally get what you mean, but it's like I actually forgot another point I wanted to make is that I immediately understood how not Fallout, Fortnite
Yeah.
has evolved this like kind of like hangout spot
It is.
for a lot
It
of people.
is.
That really
Yeah.
like the opening cutscene that's currently on the game like is very good at establishing. It's like, oh,
Everyone's just hanging
it's
out
like,
and then this stuff happens.
yeah, exactly. That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like but as you play it, it's like, oh, I see now. Where it's just like it's I can see people really decompressing with it well, and I could see
100%.
how people because it's like I saw people comparing Fortnite to like VR chat today because of
Yeah.
how awful the metaverse is,
Yeah.
Facebook's one, because it
Yeah.
just looks gross and
Oh, it looks
stupid.
dumb
And it's like, but like
and
Fortnite is
dead.
already kind of that.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I saw someone as well say it's like once Fortnite does like puts VR in it or something,
It's done.
somehow.
It's just forget it.
Like,
Just forget it.
yeah, it's just
Don't
like
even
it's already like it's
try.
VR chat, where you just choose the models you want to be
Yeah.
and hang out with people and talk. And it's just like, oh yeah, like I can see
Yeah.
like that's that's what Fortnite is, you just
mean,
choose the models you want to see be in.
exactly.
And that's
As far as
fun.
I'm concerned, Fortnite is the metaverse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
So
more
it's
or less.
like it's a virtual world that people get lost in, and like you're right. I think that's the other thing why you and I, like, I love multiplayer shooters, but I can tell you that I don't have I bounce off them so much is because I don't have a regular group of people I play with, or a regular time I play, and I think that's a huge appeal of why these games do so well. Is that, like, after school, when we were younger, it might have been like, okay, we might go for a bike ride, or maybe we might play like a Call of Duty or something, or like whatever was the multiplayer game at the time. But it wasn't that took like when okay, so people used to hang out in the neighborhood, and then they used to hang out on the phone, then they hung out on MSN or on computer chat, and then you had voice chat, and then they hung out in game chat, like in early multi, like kind of those multiplayer, before it became really mature, and then now this is just a replacement for that. Like kids don't watch cartoons after school. Kids don't watch The Simpsons during dinner. They just play Fortnite. They do homework and they play Fortnite, and there's no in between.
And they watch Dragon Ball Super through Fortnite.
Yes, yes. Like you could watch the Rocket League esports finals in Fortnite.
Right.
Like That's
Yeah,
that's
it's
like what? It's
I do.
breaking my brain.
I'm starting to realize how incredibly outdated this conversation is,
Yeah, like
especially from my end. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
we're
man,
just
like,
old.
yeah, it's not just old. It's just like, man, I'm just kind of time traveled from 2014 or something to have
Yeah,
these new experiences.
yeah. So I
Anyway,
think if we if I think if you had like a regular if you had like a regular group of people that you played this with, and you just have like, okay, I'm just gonna spend an hour, a couple hours, just having just kind of like chats, like hangouts. Oh, and by the way, I happen to be playing this game. I think that's when like you'll that's when it'll become like it'll click for you.
yeah,
I
maybe.
think that's what it is.
Oh,
What
mm.
made you try Fortnite, by the way? Is it just
Oh,
purely because
I
you had
think
to
I
make
was.
an Epic account?
I didn't even. I think PlayStation's got a whole thing. Like they just have it. I didn't need to log into my Epic account for that one. I think because it's like locked to PlayStation still. I forgot that was something. I
Oh
never,
yeah, there was a
but it's
separation
anyway.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, but I was like, I don't know, hearing about Rumbleverse, and it's like, oh, that's kind of enough to make me want to try it, especially when everyone's not scarily good at it yet.
yeah.
Though that already, I will say, I think I played on the first day, then I played like a couple days later because the second day had a long queue, so I was able to get into the third day, and everyone was already very good at the game. So now I'm kind of yeah. Anyway, my point is that like I thought I was like getting in early would make me less anxious about being bad at it, and
Nah,
basically.
no.
And Fortnite is like, oh, like I'm kind of like this seems from what I understand, if you start playing, it'll be mostly bots, and it's kind of and playing it as well. It's like, oh yeah, this is like so uncompetitive as an atmosphere.
Yeah,
So it's which is obviously the idea as well.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not sure otherwise. I think it's just like I was just kind of like I should try to take advantage of this mood I'm in and play things with multiplayer in it.
yeah.
So I usually don't. Um, anyway, to kind of wrap up Fortnite talk, um, I've been playing Cult of the Lamb. I played it for like a few hours yesterday. That's all I played of it so far. I've like so yeah. For people who don't know, it's kind of like a what do you call it? Like isometric game where there's sort of the action side that plays a bit like I think it reminded me a bit of like Bastion or like crossed with kind of binding sort of roguelike mechanics.
As in the Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, Binding of Isaac. So then the other side of it is running a cult. There's a bit of actually more of a story behind it than I expected. That's quite good. At least I'm enjoying it. But it's basically town management, but small and unsettling. As you run your cult and sacrifice people and stuff. It's very
Yeah,
I will say it's like before Call of the Land came out, I was like kind of put off by it because I thought the kind of joke of cute animals but running a cult, it felt kind of like a one note gag to me.
yeah,
I didn't think it would have much mileage, but it's actually less of a joke in game. It's actually much more of it's a way to make a already unsettling premise more unsettling,
yeah,
basically. That's what it does. Like it's not really about the kind of the innate humor and the juxtaposition of that premise. It's more about making this like cult simulator easier to digest and play. Like because it's everything's kind of simple in a way. Like it's not just like it's mechanically as well as aesthetically. Everything's kind of easier to digest at a glance. But it also amplifies the unsettling nature of it because a lot of it's like not tongue in cheek. Like it's kind of serious about how it approaches like you're making a deal with the devil and you're going along with him to create this cult of fanatics, and everything about it is kind of scary and not like it's I don't know, it's not really like a game that you get many like laughs out of other than the occasional animation that's sort of grotesque to the point of absurdity.
like a Happy Tree Friends type thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was originally, but then like it doesn't really it doesn't really embrace the absurdity of it quite as much as I would have thought it would have. Like it actually kind of it's pretty I don't know, like earnest about the premise
Yeah,
in a way. I'm not sure. I'm probably not using the right words, but I was surprised. Like anyway, I guess my point is like as like kind of a general impressions of the game so far, it feels very good to play, much better than I thought. It's like because it's I think it's kind of has a similar structure to Hades, where it's more story heavy versus more like. So
Yeah.
you're kind of always making progress. Nothing's like too hard that you feel like you've lost I haven't died yet. I don't think it's all that easy to die at all so far. Like it's very straightforward and
So you're saying
but it's like,
you're the ultimate gamer. That's what I'm hearing right now.
yes, that is what I'm saying. But, it's like it's kind of designed for like a central experience that
Mm.
kind of goes along smoothly, and it's obviously about the cult management side of it.
Yeah.
Combat seems to be a way to support that part of the game more than it is the other way around.
Got you. Oh, that's cool,
Uh,
man.
yeah,
Sounds cool.
I like it so far.
What are you
Yeah, it's
playing it
good.
on?
PS5.
Got you.
Yeah, because I heard like I tried to look up stuff about the Switch port,
Apparently
and it seemed to have a bit of it's. I think people had trouble with it. I'm not sure if it was universal,
sad.
but
It's
PS5
just
version a bit better.
it seems like that's just what even like these smaller scale, quote unquote smaller scale games that you think would work great on the Switch, a lot of them are actually running into performance issues as well.
Well, it's like I didn't realize until like a few days before release because like I think in my mind I assumed it was like fully 2D, but it's actually like very high quality sprites in like a 3D
Yeah.
kind of scenario, which is like obviously more demanding.
Yeah.
And it's I think that's part of the reason I prefer it on PS5 as well, just so the fidelity is quite high. Because I was surprised at how nice it looks. Like I didn't actually realize.
It's
I
very
really like that
colorful as well.
Yeah, but it's
So is it a roguelike or is it more it just kind of looks like it, but it's not actually? It's a
I think it technically is. I don't know a ton
gotcha.
about
Is
the
it
game.
run based?
I think so.
Okay.
Like you make a save file, but I think I'm not sure what happened. I think once you die, you kind of get sent back a little bit, but you don't. So I guess maybe it's not a roguelike. I think it just has qualities of a roguelike and just I guess it's like kind of what Hades is like. You die, but you're still like within the save file you have. You know, you're not restarting. You're just restarting the combat scenario.
Gotcha. I need to play Hades. I've done like 2 runs in it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Hades. But everyone's just
game of the years or whatever.
Yeah, I know. But like everyone keeps yelling. Every time I bring that up, everyone keeps yelling like, "You have to play more." I'm like, okay.
That's right.
Oh man, but yeah. You also played a bit of the Saints Row the third.
Yeah, I won't get into that too much. I was just kind of it's on the PlayStation Plus, like middle tier.
Yeah,
So it's like
the
I
extra
heard the
tier.
remaster was good. Like the remaster, the quality aspect of it was good, not necessarily the game itself.
I remember the game being good, but I guess it's
one of the better remasters
11 years ago. So
yeah, no, but it's like the texture quality and the lighting upgrade for the remaster.
That's good.
Surprisingly good. Like it holds up for a game that obviously didn't look nearly that good back then, even without having to go look it up. But it's yeah. Have you played Saints Row 3 before?
Yeah. I played it, but I think I reviewed it maybe back in the day. I loved that game. It was I think because like Saints Row 1 was super serious. Saints Row 2 started to get some like kind of silliness, and then Saints Row 3 just went off the deep end. It was fucking hilarious. There was so many dumb things in it, and so many like gags. Like it was a lot of fun, and I remember really enjoying it. And yeah, it was like I don't know. It was just like one of those. Like there was a lot of like kind of funny moments in it. Like there's just moments that kind of stand out to you, and like. I made my character. What did you make a character? What type of character did you make?
Oh, I couldn't be bothered. I just made a lady.
Default. Oh, just yeah. So I went with a tall, bald, black, British character. So he talked like Jason Statham, but he looked like probably looked like Tyrese Gibson from the I guess now the Fast and Furious movies. So it was a lot of fun. So he's got like this Cockney accent, and he's just like incredulous at everything that happens in front of him, which I think is I think that was the right way to play that game. I think that's the thing with I think Saints Row 4 and whatever the other ones were, Agents of Mayhem, or what is it called? Like
Cat Out of
Gat
Hell
Out of
was
Hell. Yeah, I think the reason why people didn't like them is that they went too far. So
okay.
yeah, so I think this one strikes that happy medium. I mean, what do you think of it so far? How much have you played?
I played most of it, and then I realized the final chunk of the game was going to take much longer than I realized, so I stopped.
The last mission is
No, it's not the
is
last mission. It's like
yeah,
I got up to like 15 missions left,
yep,
and it's like, oh, that didn't take me long to get through because a lot of those earlier missions are like doing a side activity,
yeah,
which takes the exact amount of time that it would otherwise. So I
yeah.
assumed a lot of the game would be like that length, but once you hit a certain point in the last area of the like last
The
act,
missions get longer.
every mission is like an hour long or something. Like it
Yeah,
takes a
they're
while.
big. Have you done the wrestling missions yet?
No,
Okay, cool.
I just did the internet like go inside the
The
internet.
Matrix.
Yeah,
Yes, and you play as a toilet for a bit,
yeah. There was a
and
couple of
and you get
decent
the
gags.
digital tank.
I will
Yeah,
say it's. I know it's been a long time since it first released.
yeah.
I'm not super into the writing, honestly. Like
Okay.
I'm sure, like I know it's like, um, I
If
heard
you
about it recently, and it's like very much
2011, John might have enjoyed it a bit more. I think.
yeah. But it's like a lot of the writing reminds me of Veep, but less clever. If it's like it's a lot of like crass gendered insults, but without much of the real. I don't know. A lot of it doesn't
Sharpness to it, like the
a lot of
wit.
it's just kind of yeah, something like that. It's like it feels like a lot of the jokes are meant to be cleverer than they actually are, that
Yeah,
kind of thing. And also a lot of it's just insults at as the characters. Or it's like, and it's just like, man, there's not much writing here. It's just
I think
it's just
yeah,
throwing
because
insults.
like I remember that being that was the big thing in 2011 Game of the Year for Giant Bomb, is that Skyrim won over Saints Row the Third, and that was like a riotous, like that was like a thing that they just didn't like. Everyone loved this game, but then somehow Skyrim won because I think Brad Shoemaker made like a really good argument for the scale of the game, blah 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 blah, and they always gave him shit for it for years. And I think it's so for me, like I think the reason why Saints Row, like I was 19 when Saints Row the Third came out because I think it was a 2011 game. So for me, I was like probably in the right age demographic. I was probably in the right age for the humor for it, and
Yeah,
also yeah, sorry,
I won't judge anyone for liking it now or at the time. I just thought like I kind of went in expecting the writing to be I don't know, less repetitive, I guess. Like I think it's like comedy, it's like not bad. Maybe I'm just like I don't know, maybe I'm just a
yeah,
buzzkill who's
because
just
like what is it?
but
You had like because Johnny Gat was kind of like the cool character who kind of dies off at the beginning of the game, and then you got like kind of is it Kenzie or something? I don't know, but there was like you had the sassy badass chick, and then you had kind of like the big dumb muscly guy. Then you had like the other sassy badass chick who's actually a hacker. Then like you kind of like you kind of fought a lot of kind of like tropes. Like you just encounter a lot of tropes, and I think the humor was a lot about you know that dynamic between those types of caricatures. And I
yeah,
can
'cause
understand that getting old.
there's a few setups that I feel aren't like I don't know, I'm not a comedian. I'm not like a amazing descriptor of like comedy and how it works. But to me it's like it feels like there's a few parts where they've kind of gotten the start of a gag that is like pretty solid and then they never don't really follow through with it. There's like one
Didn't
part
stick the
where
landing.
something like not necessarily well there's one okay there's one in particular I'm thinking about so maybe it doesn't apply to much to the game. I'm not sure, but there's one part where one of the villains kind of start has some like doctored video where it's trying to make the saints to be sinners or something and it's like making out to be bad guys and it's all like it's very goofy like Photoshop video where it's like and then he's doing an interview where he's making himself out to be like this amazing person and the
Yeah.
saints to be villains and it's like and then there's like these protesters was like the saints are actually sinners and I feel like there's like something good there about how like the as a criminal gang they've been turned into this sort of like really soft like multimedia
Yeah.
empire
It's
except that like the whole joke of it should be that they're still this like horrible criminal syndicate but they've
yeah.
kind of got this like weird in between where they're still like these rogues with a heart of gold except they're also I don't know I feel like they don't embrace the immorality of
No.
it quite as much as they could but maybe
Yeah.
that's just like me looking as a 2022 person
Maybe.
having not played it then. Like maybe like I'm sure it was. I know it was better then. Like I don't know. I'm not trying to judge it. I was just saying it's like that's my reaction to it today, as someone who
Like,
probably isn't super into it in the first place. You know.
yeah, like as in like it sounds like they could have like the punchline could have been better delivered. Like the setup's there, but the punchline just didn't deliver. Like,
Yeah.
and
There's like
especially
there's
10
like
years on or 11 years on.
yeah. There's like certain parts where I don't remember anymore. But there was like one part where Pierce is like the like I'm not actually sure how to describe him. It's like the black member of the gang basically. Like the one
Mm,
who's like I think he's like a lot of like the behind the scenes guy, basically, like the arms dealer sort.
mm.
I guess his role. And he's like playing chess with Oleg, who's like this, surprisingly smart, muscular guy. And it's like I kind of wanted to like more on that part because it was like
Yeah,
like it feels like they
that's
started the
funny.
joke
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
they never actually finished what was going on in that scenario. Like that, like I feel maybe that's a better way to put it. It's like a lot of the character interactions feel not fleshed out enough for me. But maybe that's just my preferences too. I'm not quite
yeah.
sure.
But yeah, because if I remember, like I think early on there are a lot of kind of quieter moments, but then they try to like I think the second half of the game kind of like those quiet moments disappear in favor of bigger and bigger spectacles.
Maybe I will
Mm.
say it's paced well for the
Mm.
kind of game it is because it starts off big and then it kind of quiets down to just doing side activities for most missions, and then you're right, like it ramps up after a point.
Yeah,
But it doesn't really get slow so much as the missions get bigger and take longer to finish,
yeah,
which is kind of what made me want to drop it because I'm just not like I'm not enjoying it enough to go like, "Oh, I don't really want to spend 5 more hours on it." But it's like I've got what I wanted out of it, so I'm
yeah,
happy with it. But
yeah.
it's
No, I think you'll enjoy the wrestling part of it. Like there's bits coming up where you basically train as a wrestler. I think you'll really enjoy that. Um,
okay.
yeah, and then the end is funny. Uh, yeah, like the gimmicks they use at the end, it's funny.
Mm, okay,
But
maybe.
yeah, nah, who knows? Maybe we'll find, like if you've only got like a few missions left or a handful of missions left or whatever it is,
Well, that's what I meant. I was
10 or
like, I had like
15.
15 left, and then last I checked, after like 2 or 3 hours of gameplay, I had like 10 left.
Yeah,
So it's like, oh, this is taking a bit longer than I wanted it to. So
yeah. I don't think all of them are as long. I think some of them are like kind of setups. But yeah,
yeah,
it's been a while. So, I mean, it's been 11 years, so I'm not going to remember everything 100%.
yeah.
But you know, what I will remember is how fun it is to play Apex Legends. That's because over this past week, season 14 just launched, and essentially what it is. Oh, sorry, let me get that video up on the screen. So the new, so season 14, which is subtitled Hunted, has come out, and as part of it, there's a new character called Vantage, who's kind of like a reconnaissance type character. So she's like, I haven't unlocked her because I'm not paying just yet until I actually play a bit more and then feel like it's worth paying. I'm gonna get my return for it, but. The thing that it reminds me is that the core gameplay is still a lot of fun. Like the shooting feels nice. A lot has changed. Like there are a lot of balance changes that like I haven't played in a few seasons, so it's just like just trying to get used to everything and like how some guns are shit now, some guns are like really good now, and how it's all
How long?
changed. Yeah,
How long is like a few seasons ago? Like in real
a
time.
year.
Oh, okay,
So I think there's like 3 seasons a year, maybe,
right.
or no, 4 seasons a year. I think. I'm pretty sure. So it's been a while since I played. I think like actually even mate, probably haven't played since like 2020 maybe. Like it's been a
Oh,
while. So yeah, but it's still fun. Like it's still a lot of fun, and like in the first game I got back, like we made it to the last round. Like I just got hard carried because I had no idea what I was doing, and we were there. We were the second team, so I was just like, oh, okay. So that still happens, but and like because I've got Amazon Prime, like you get like skins and stuff through Prime Gaming, so you kind of just like it just you log in and then you see like, oh hey, you've unlocked this, you've unlocked that. I'm like, oh okay. But I don't know that I would I'm really excited. Like I am thinking about getting the battle pass, the premium battle pass, because you do get a lot of unlocks and stuff. But I'm like, oh, maybe I'll wait. I'll just play it a bit more because I think that's the thing I need. I want to play multiplayer shooters again, but I need to find one that I can settle with. Because
Right.
like I don't know, Valorant it's too slow. Uh, Destiny 2 can require a lot of work to kind of get up to the right level and unlock the weapons. And the maps haven't changed in like 5 years, which is really frustrating because like the maps in a shooter are like a huge part of it. Apex, like, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, what about Halo Infinite?
Yeah, I kind of jumped off that. I don't know. I guess like not having like a regular group of people, but it's like I think there aren't many maps, and like I don't know. There's not really much to it. I don't know.
Right.
I didn't really I kind of fell off with Halo, but it is fun. Like that does the core gameplay there is fun, and I guess I could get back into it and play it. But it's like, oh, I don't know. There's not really much to unlock or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll try Apex again. But yeah, like Call of Duty, like Warzone, didn't really like I remember that running like shit on my computer, but you know that could be fixed now with updates and everything, and it just seemed too complicated, and it took too long to get into the game. It's like sometimes I just want to play. I don't want to do the pre-lobby kind of fighting or whatever. I just want to get into the game and then get into another round.
Yeah.
And it was so like the menus are so complicated. I don't know what I've unlocked. I don't know what it does. I don't know where to find it. And it's like Jesus
Apex?
Christ. No, this is a Call of Duty Warzone. With Apex, it's
Oh,
a bit
okay.
more straightforward.
Yeah.
But I've no idea what anything does. Like I don't know how weapons compare to each other. There's no like. I used to have a thing where you could highlight and be like, okay, this is how it compares to the weapon you have right now. So you got to kind of like do a lot of things where you go on YouTube and then look up, okay, what are the key weapons for this season, or what are the key characters for this season and stuff. So that's kind of the frustrations there. But you know what? I'll keep playing it. Give it more turns, and there's a new season of Destiny coming in a couple of weeks. So there's that. Bungie just announced a
I
whole
had
bunch
big
of
news today.
changes. Yeah,
Yeah, I heard
so
that.
basically the Arc subclass. So there are three main classes. There's the Titans, which are the tanks, the Hunters, which are kind of like the damage dealers / like rogues, and then you've got the Warlocks, which are kind of like the healers / mages. So essentially, what it is that there are four subclasses, and three of them have on like a new updated architecture. They have more moves, more branching paths, more abilities and things like that, more customization. And so the Arc subclass, which is like the electricity based one, that's the one that's getting a big overhaul, like a 3.0 overhaul. And so there's going to be like quite a few different like abilities and changes there. And one of the things is an ability to do like a kind of like an evade move for the Titans, which we haven't really had. And you know that whole thing a couple of weeks ago where people were harassing the Bungie for not bringing back an exotic piece of armor called the Tantalus wards, I think they're called. Like basically, they gave you that kind of like dodge ability, but in the air. So what they've done now is that you can actually have that dodge ability as part of your character class, like your kind of abilities. But now, regardless of what equipment you have, it's just kind of a skill you have, right? But you can only do it on the ground. So it's like, yes, we didn't bring back that thing exactly as it was, but we've kind of brought back the functionality of what it did in a different way. And it's just like, if only people could just wait 3 fucking weeks, you know? But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a big change, which is good. But I think for me, they need more multiplayer maps. They need, I think, and I think the game engine there needs to be a new game. Like there needs to be a new game engine. Like graphically, it's not really impressive anymore. Like the skyboxes and stuff are great. It plays great, but it's like, there's not even proper anti-aliasing on it. Like the graphics are really like it looks like a PS3, like early PS4 game, and it's just like. There's only so much you can do with that game to make it like kind of fresh. and it's like, okay, yes, you're putting all this like extra content for PvE players, but what about people like me who prefer the PvP?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a very weird place that it's in now, which, I feel like it's the same. Maybe it's the same criticisms year after year, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
sounds familiar. Yeah.
So we'll find out next
I just-
week. Is the full reveal of the next expansion. So we'll find out then. Sorry, John, you were saying?
Oh, I was just saying it's like it wasn't just like I wasn't trying to say it's like you're the only one saying it. Like I feel like I like keeping up with any sort of discourse with Destiny because it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it's so Byzantine now, like it's so weird and complicated all the time.
Yeah.
And like so learning about it is always interesting. It's like learning about Eve or something. But it's yeah, I don't know,
Fair
but
enough.
it's always the same kind of story where people are just kind of disappointed at something or other, and it never really seems to get better other than it just kind of gets short bursts of engagement and excitement. Like you're talking about like the arc overhaul, like the subclass overhaul. It's like, oh, that's such a fun thing for a game to get, really, especially out of the blue. But it sounds like such a stopgap between something like that really livens it up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think for me, like, I liked playing Overwatch, but Overwatch 2 is basically just Overwatch 1. So I don't know. I want there to be a multiplayer shooter that's just like, that's just, I don't know. That's just fun, but isn't a battle royale. Because like a lot of the battle royale is just like you running around with nothing happening, just looting and stuff, and then you get into gunfights.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Overwatch 2 would be like an amazing game that like kind of brings everyone back in, but at this stage, I don't know what really fills that void.
Hey, what about X Defiant? Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll yeah. Let's maybe. Because, like, I tried getting into Rainbow Six Siege, and that really wasn't the thing as well. So, I don't know. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that, but I have, like, so many single-player games that I haven't finished yet. So, I should probably stop complaining.
Also, before we wrap up, I also wanted to mention, because I forgot, I watched through the top 8 finals of Tekken and Street Fighter 5 for
Ooh,
Evo
nice.
2022,
Oh,
which happened
nice.
a little while ago.
Yeah.
Street Fighter was so fucking good. It was like,
Yeah.
because I don't know anything about that game or either of them really.
Yeah.
Like yeah, but it's like it's so exciting, especially the Street Fighter ones. Tekken one's great too, but it's like Street Fighter is like
goes off. It goes off.
but it's like has such a good arc through it. Like it's like a sports drama in the way that like everything is so exactly. Oh, it's great.
I would also encourage you to watch maybe the finals of either Smash Brothers or Guilty Gear Strive.
I heard about Strives being good. Yeah, I want to watch that one.
Yeah, Smash Brothers is kind of Smash Brothers, but yeah, Strive, I would check that out. I don't think DNF.
I don't think Smash had it. Smash wasn't there.
Oh no, I think I think we're in the period where Nintendo hates Evo. I feel like Nintendo kind of like is very moody when it comes to Evo, but this time it's like, F you.
Yeah.
And that's why multiverses was a huge part of Evo. So which is crazy. It's not even out yet.
That one as well, because that one's. Because I was thinking about. Sorry to talk too long.
Go for it.
But I was thinking about multiverses, and I haven't looked into the finals. Like I haven't looked into the Evo tournament of that one. And I'm very curious too, because I don't think like I'm guessing it's just 1v1, right? Do you know?
For which one? Multiverses?
Yeah.
Well, it's 4 players, so I don't know how they would do it, but Smash is traditionally 1v1, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But so I bet they did that as well.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Because I'll go watch it because I'm curious. But I was thinking about how cool it would be for a fighting game, like a major fighting game, to be like a duo based. Like as a scene, like you have to have a partner that you're good with. Yeah. Because like no other fighting games like that.
Yeah. Like you have tag teams, but it's still you playing. You just have a different character. Yeah, that actually would be cool. Like a 2v2. Like they should have like a 2v2, like a team based final, especially because there are lots of esports teams, and then it's like like tennis. You have your singles finals and you have your doubles. Like there should be room for both. Yeah, that's a good idea, man.
Like I think, like I don't know, like that would make it so compelling. Like it would just be so distinct, in
Hundred
Evo, it's
percent,
like everything's just one versus one, and the only
100%.
oh, yeah. So I don't know. That was an idea I had where it's like, oh, that'd be really cool, but it's based on almost nothing other than just wrestling
Yeah,
stuff
kind of
because I
tag
like
in.
tag teams. But it's like in Multiverses, everyone will just be on the screen at the same time, so it's not
Yeah.
quite the same. But
In my
it's
head, I'm just picturing like they're at the table, like they're at the screens like next to each other, and then like you know somehow like
high fiving constantly.
yeah, and then like one of their teammates from the comes out of the crowd and like you know suplexes like the other player, and then that player's partner comes in and gets revenge, and then somehow the commentators just freaking out and like
Yeah,
and
like
then,
normal. Like that's what
yeah
they know.
yeah. I mean they're doing that anyway, and like
Yeah.
you saw like they get hyped.
Yeah, like it's great as well. Like they have like as someone who's again more wrestler talk, but as someone who's like extremely critical of wrestling announcers
Hmm.
lately, because I don't like almost any of them, and it's like it's so personal preference. Like none of it's based on real critique. Well, not none of it, but most of it. And I
Yeah,
was thinking it's like I really like the Evo commentators generally. Like they have the right energy. I guess because they because they play it as well. Like they
yeah.
have to know the game so
You can
well.
tell.
Yeah, and they get
Yeah,
excited because they get excited by what hardcore fighting game players get excited for, So
yeah.
it's like the right thing, right energy all
But
the
it's
time.
infectious. It's like but even as a layperson, you can still get into the hype, and you kind of learn
Yeah,
things as you watch. And because there's always usually like there's usually two commentators, and one is like kind of the straight, like one kind of usually they'll try and explain things sometimes. I think the best commentators try to explain concepts and why
yeah,
this is crazy or why something popped off or whatever.
yeah. I thought
Yeah,
the Street Fighter commentators were very good. The
yeah.
Tekken commentators were good, but not as good as the Street Fighter people. I
Hmm.
felt,
Well, Street
but that
Fighter
was
always
someone
gets the most money, I think, as well, and
that makes
prestige.
sense. But it's like
Yeah,
that's to someone who doesn't know anything about the scene
yeah.
aside from just hearing bits and pieces over the years. So it's like it's very much like a newbie.
I used to do that at when I used to work at the Good Guys. I used to like try and put on like the Evo finals in the background, like it on like because I used to work in the tech area, so I set up all the everything. So I just have like one computer plugged into all the monitors, and then I'll have like all the screens playing like the Evo finals or something if I could, if there was enough bandwidth, which was
Yeah.
which was funny.
Yeah,
Which
it's like
yeah.
so. It's like, oh, wouldn't you also like to watch Evo finals on your big screen television?
uh, but yeah, that was yeah. It's that was a lot of fun. I think it just gets a bit creepy because like sometimes I feel like with fighting games it falls into the trap of like a lot of Japanese sensibilities where things are just very unnecessarily pervy, and you're like, God damn it!
Yeah, sometimes
I'm
it
like,
does get up.
this is not helping the stereotype.
Yeah, though that makes me think with the Smash, like, because I'm sure everyone's this who knows better than I would has discussed this at a lot like ends length. But I was thinking about this, like you mentioned, like Smash Brothers and that not being an Evo. I wonder if Nintendo took it out just because it's been getting like a real reputation for having a lot of creepy people in it, like way more
Yeah,
than the other games.
yeah. Like the fighting game community is one that like it's had its fair share of toxic people, and it's but I feel like it's getting better, and we are seeing. I don't know. Did you see female players in the top eights?
Not in either of the ones I watched. No.
Yeah, but yeah, who knows? We'll see. Maybe that'll change as well. Hopefully, we'll get more and more. I guess like a diversified range of players, and like one of my favorite stories is just like someone like Arslan from Pakistan, and
Mm.
like him like coming out of like like him coming home after winning Evo the Tekken champion like the Tekken like kind of final at Evo, coming home and getting like a hero's welcome from his family and stuff. Like that's like really heartwarming when you see like hear stories like that. So I really hope yeah, I really hope that love continues. I think my
Yeah,
other
it's
cat
like
has
it's
I think my other cat has penetrated this room.
Okay.
There he is.
Uh, uh,
Uh, but yeah, no, that's fun, man. I guess I'm gonna have to watch the. I think I'm gonna have those Evo highlights on in the
the
background while I'm
Street Fighter
working this
one.
week.
Watch that one. It's really like as someone who, I guess I'm saying it as someone who's never watched any. I think I've watched like one grand final of Evo from ages ago. I have
Yeah,
no experience with it. But Street Fighters was like so compelling for something that took 3.5 hours to watch.
yeah, nice. Alrighty, man. That's all right. That's on the watch later list now. Thank you. But yeah, let's close out the show, John.
Yep.
Now, as always, Double Jump Radio is made possible thanks to the support of our wonderful members. You too can support Double Jump and Double Jump Radio by heading to doublejump.co/memberships and signing up today. You can also head to our Patreon and become a member that way as well. We'll have some a new membership option coming up soon, which will hopefully launch alongside the new Discord server in the coming weeks. That's what we're hoping for. But yeah, so it's going to be got some fun things coming up ahead, and hopefully we'll have some more articles on the site in the coming week. But John, thank you so much, man. It's always super fun to have you on these projects with me, man. I love when you give me updates on what you've been watching, and I think we're overdue for a wrestling update soon.
Oh, maybe. I haven't been watching much wrestling outside of AEW lately, so
Is there much happening?
There is. I'm just
Okay.
like I think I'm a bit burnt out. But
Maybe. Now you're just
okay,
going to be
yeah.
watching fighting game tournaments.
Maybe it's really good.
They have storylines.
Yeah, it's like I know it's not the same, but it is extremely hype. So
Mm.
maybe. But yeah, no, another
That's
good
gonna be
episode
awesome.
review. Thank you.
Hey.
Always good to talk.
No, likewise, man. And thank you to everyone at home for watching us. Really hope you enjoyed joining us for a couple of hours of chit-chat, especially about the Embracer Group taking over the world, continuing its pledge for world domination. So, John, until next week, it's been a pleasure, and I hope you have a great week. Everyone at home, look out for one another. Peace.
Bye.
Oh, man. There. Gonna have a cat in the background for everyone. Yep, there we go, another cat. Hey Ace, you having a shower? Well, it's close to feeding time. That's why he's here. He just barged his way in through the door. Just a kid. Take care, man. Thanks, brother. See you, everyone.
Bye.